Ever wondered what would happen if you stopped making decisions for a whole day? What if you let an AI control every single choice you made? We already let algorithms pick our movies, music, even dates. So why not everything else? The idea was both terrifying and amazing. Zero decision fatigue, but also the risk of total chaos. I decided to try it. For 24 hours, my life would be run by an AI chatbot I named Control-Alt-Deep-Tie. From waking up to going to sleep, every choice would be hers. No exceptions. No cheating. The night before, I felt a weird mix of nerves and excitement, like the first day of school. But your teacher is a robot. I set my alarm, plugged in my phone, and braced myself for whatever digital madness awaited. Little did I know my 24-hour journey was about to begin. The rules were simple. The AI's word was law. Every decision, big or small, was up to Control-Alt-Deep-Tie. She'd pick my clothes, meals, work tasks, social posts, everything. Even my work life was fair game. Risky, but I was committed. Money? The AI got a $200 budget to spend however it wanted. My wallet was terrified, and I had to document everything. My reactions, my feelings, the whole experience. The timer was set for 8 a.m. My phone was charged. No turning back. I was both the scientist and the lab rat in this experiment. Control-Alt-Deep-Tie was ready. My 24 hours as an AI-powered human were about to begin. The alarm blared at 8 a.m. No snooze allowed. I blinked at the ceiling, already missing the comfort of my pillow, but this was a new kind of morning. No more lazy scrolling or half-hearted attempts to delay the inevitable. Today, I was letting an AI run my routine, and apparently, it had zero patience for procrastinators. My first question to Control-Alt-Deep-Tie, what now? I half expected her to tell me to meditate or drink lemon water, but she had other plans. Her answer, go outside and stand in the sun for 5 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just me, the morning air, and a sky that looked way too bright for this hour. I shuffled onto my balcony, half asleep, but the sunlight actually felt good. The warmth crept into my skin, and for a moment, I forgot about emails and deadlines. It was oddly peaceful, like pressing a reset button for my brain. Next, she told me to do a 10-minute stretching routine from YouTube, focusing on my hamstrings and lower back. I groaned, but followed along, limbs creaking and joints popping as I tried to mimic the impossibly flexible instructor on screen. My spine cracked, my brain woke up. Not bad. I could actually feel the fog lifting, replaced by a gentle buzz of energy. Maybe there was something to this after all. Then came the weirdest instruction. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. I stared at my toothbrush, suddenly unsure how to even hold it. Toothpaste everywhere. I looked like a toddler with a crayon. My reflection was a mess, but I couldn't help but laugh at the chaos I'd created in just 2 minutes. But it forced me out of autopilot and made me laugh. It was impossible to take myself too seriously with foam on my chin and toothpaste on my shirt. 3 tasks in, and the AI was already mixing smart, strange, and silly. Each step felt like a tiny experiment in breaking habits and waking up my senses. I was oddly energized and ready for whatever came next. My body felt lighter, my mind clearer, and I was actually looking forward to the next surprise. Maybe this AI thing wasn't so bad after all. It was like having a quirky coach who knew just how to shake me out of my comfort zone. I was starting to see the appeal of letting go. Trusting the process, even if it meant a little mess and a lot of laughter, felt strangely liberating. But I knew the real tests were still ahead. If this was just the beginning, I could only imagine what the rest of the day would bring. Breakfast is usually my comfort zone, oatmeal or a protein shake. But today, Control-Alt-Deep-Tie was in charge. I asked, what should I have for breakfast? Her answer, plain white rice with a perfectly fried egg, soy sauce, and black pepper. Rice for breakfast? Not my usual, but I followed orders. Cooking felt robotic, but the result was surprisingly good. Simple, savory, and satisfying. It was a breakfast that actually felt substantial. I finished the whole bowl, a little shocked at how much I enjoyed it. Maybe the AI knew something I didn't, or maybe it just got lucky. Either way, I was starting to trust Control-Alt-Deep-Tie's weird wisdom. The day was off to a strong, if unconventional, start. I wondered what other surprises were in store. Only time would tell. Next up, getting dressed. My closet is my kingdom, but today, the AI ruled. Her instructions, neon sweatpants, a formal blouse, fancy high heels, and one big dangly earring. I looked like a fashion disaster, half business, half pajama party, and a little bit pirate. Walking around in that outfit was hilarious and humiliating. Every mirror reminded me how absurd I looked. But I stuck to the rules, resisting the urge to cheat. The AI was clearly testing my commitment and my dignity. I felt ridiculous, but also strangely liberated. Sometimes, letting go of control means letting go of your ego. I was ready for whatever came next, even if it meant more fashion crimes. The experiment was getting weirder by the minute, and I was here for it. Now for the scary part, my finances. I gave Control-Alt-Deep to $200 to spend. Her orders, buy a $50 masterclass on a topic I knew nothing about, and spend $150 on groceries for the local food bank. I was expecting something ridiculous, but this was surprisingly thoughtful. I signed up for a class on mushrooms, mycology of all things. Then, still in my wild outfit, I bought and delivered groceries to the food bank. The volunteer was grateful, and I felt genuinely good. The AI had used my money for self-improvement and kindness. It was humbling to realize I might not have done either on my own. Sometimes, a little push from outside your comfort zone is exactly what you need. Control-Alt-Deep was full of surprises. I was starting to appreciate her unpredictable logic. The day was turning out to be more meaningful than I expected. Next challenge, social interaction. I asked the AI for a mission as I walked to a coffee shop. Her command, find someone walking a dog and say, "Your dog has the eyes of a wise old philosopher." I cringed, but rules are rules. I spotted a woman with a golden retriever, took a deep breath, and delivered the line. To my shock, she laughed and loved it. We chatted about our dogs. The awkward AI-generated compliment actually worked as an icebreaker. Sometimes being weird is the best way to connect. I walked away feeling relieved and oddly confident. The AI had forced me out of my comfort zone, and it paid off. Maybe there's something to letting go of control, even in social situations. I was learning more about myself than I expected. The experiment was turning into a real adventure. By evening, I was exhausted. Not from making decisions, but from following orders all day long. It was a different kind of tiredness, one that crept in quietly, making my mind feel both empty and strangely alert. My day had been orchestrated by algorithms, every choice handed to me, every moment scheduled. I wondered if I'd lost a bit of myself in the process, or if I was just discovering a new way to be. I asked Control-Alt-Deep how to unwind. Her answer was simple, but surprisingly strict. No screens for an hour. Just listen to a classical album with my eyes closed, letting the music be my only companion. It felt almost old-fashioned, like stepping back in time to a slower, quieter world. I put on Vivaldi's The Four Seasons and let the music wash over me. At first, my mind wandered, restless and fidgety, craving the usual distractions. But as the melodies unfolded, I started to notice details, the gentle rise and fall of the violins, the way each note seemed to paint a picture in my mind. It was hard at first, resisting the urge to check my phone or scroll through messages. But soon, I relaxed into the moment. It was a digital detox I didn't know I needed, a rare pause that let my thoughts settle and my body truly unwind. Afterward, the AI's final command for the night arrived. Write down 3 positive surprises from today, then put my phone in another room until morning. It sounded simple, but it felt like a small act of rebellion against my usual habits. I wrote, the rice and egg breakfast that tasted better than expected, helping others when I didn't have to, and the weird dog compliment that made me laugh. Each memory felt brighter as I wrote it down, like I was collecting little treasures from an ordinary day. Focusing on the good made the day feel worthwhile. It shifted my perspective, reminding me that even on autopilot, there are moments of joy and surprise waiting to be noticed. I plugged in my phone, walked to bed, and felt a strange sense of freedom. Without the constant pull of notifications, my mind felt lighter, more open to rest. The experiment was almost over. I was ready to reclaim my choices, but grateful for the lessons. I realized that sometimes structure can be a gift, and letting go of control can reveal what truly matters. Sometimes letting go is the best way to see what matters. As the night faded, I felt a quiet hope for tomorrow, a chance to blend freedom with the wisdom I'd gained. The next morning, I woke up to a quiet house and a sense of freedom I hadn't felt in a while. There was no AI voice chiming in with suggestions or reminders. For the first time in 24 hours, I could finally make my own choices again, without a digital assistant nudging me in one direction or another. It felt both strange and liberating, like stepping outside after being indoors for too long. As I sat with my coffee reflecting on the experiment, I realized that the AI's relentless focus on wellness and kindness had actually caught me off guard. I expected it to be robotic, maybe even cold, but instead, it seemed genuinely invested in my well-being, even if it sometimes missed the mark. The AI pushed me to do things I'd usually avoid, like getting outside for some sunlight, stretching my body, learning something new, and even volunteering to help others. These were things I always told myself I'd do someday, but the AI made them part of my day, whether I liked it or not. Of course, it also made me wear a ridiculous outfit and say bizarre things to strangers on the street. I felt awkward and out of place, but I have to admit, it made for some hilarious memories and stories I'll never forget. The AI definitely lacked context and empathy. It couldn't read the room or sense when I was uncomfortable. But in its own clumsy way, it broke my routines and forced me to see my habits from a new perspective. Sometimes, that's exactly what we need. A little disruption to shake us out of autopilot. Would I do it again? Honestly, not for a whole day. The constant nudges and odd suggestions were exhausting at times, and I missed having control over my own decisions. But as a tool to shake things up every now and then? Maybe. It's like having a quirky friend who pushes you out of your comfort zone. Annoying, but sometimes exactly what you need. This experiment really opened my eyes to both the power and the pitfalls of AI. It can be a force for positive change, but it's not a substitute for real human understanding. AI can push us to grow, challenge our routines, and even help us learn new things. But it can't replace the nuance, empathy, and intuition that come from being human. Our messy, imperfect choices, those spontaneous, sometimes questionable decisions, are what make life interesting and meaningful. I wouldn't trade my freedom for anything, not even for a perfectly philosophical dog or the world's smartest assistant. In the end, sometimes the best decisions are the ones we make ourselves, messy, unpredictable, and entirely our own.